Hi everyone, it's Brett from Season Gaming, and today we're going to be doing more of a maintenance item for the PS4 controller. So to kind of get started, we're going to look at a couple things with this controller in general. Now this is the original PS4 controller. The original controller is a 1000 milliamp hour battery. They're supposed to last anywhere between 6 and 8 hours. My battery didn't last that long as far as lasting that long. I would say within about a year or so, this was already only lasting about 4 hours on a full charge, and currently my battery only lasts about 2 hours on a full charge. So most of the time I just keep it connected to the micro USB to when I'm playing games. So it really depends on how long your battery's lasting. I did find this battery on eBay. It was $8.95 shipped from a seller in China. It did take a little bit of time to get to me, but one of the things that's kind of interesting here, it is a 2000 milliamp hour battery, and it's supposed to last double the time. However, unfortunately, after going to Amazon, I did see a lot of bad reviews saying this thing does not hold a charge, so I'm kind of rolling the dice here. It was $8 from China. We'll see what happens. At the same time, I've got a couple other PS4 controllers that I'm using now that I don't care too much. So this is more of a how to replace your battery on the original PlayStation 4 controller. This battery supposedly does not work for the slim controllers. The reason is because the port that it plugs into is too small on the slim controller, so this will not work. So if you're looking for this exact same thing, I will link the eBay seller when I put it in the description, but this will only work on the original PS4 controller. So let's get to it. I've already actually taken this controller apart because I had to replace the joysticks, which also went bad after using it for a while. So the main thing to take a look at is you'll have 4 main screws. You have 1, 2, 3, 4. Once you get those 4 out of the way, this should actually come out pretty good. So let me unscrew those. Okay, back. So one thing to keep in mind is when you are taking this apart, do not just, destroy it or get it out as soon as you can super hard. There's a lot of ribbons and cables on this motherboard that can be affected. Also, your trigger buttons are extremely sensitive to the point that I have to put this back together very specially because one of my triggers does not hold. So let me actually pull this off. Some people actually prefer to use a pry tool. There we go. So there's like a pop that'll let you actually remove. So one of my triggers did come off. Now this is actually super easy once you get this off, so I'm gonna have to put that back. This is what I mean. So these things do come off, the triggers, they do go in there. However, if you can see here, the battery is now exposed. So this is as simple as pulling this out, and there's your old battery. So taking a closer look at it, it's kind of an older battery. I'm not seeing any dates or anything on here. I was trying to find a date for us to kind of work with as far as when this was made. But one thing that you will see, and maybe you can't see it because it's kind of small. Let me zoom in a little bit to the camera. And here you can see it is a 1000 milliamp hour battery. Once again, super old. I'm assuming this was made a long time ago, but it's really easy. So let me get the battery open. We're pulling this open here. We have our battery. So, I mean, super simple. There's not a difference in really size or anything. It's literally an older battery versus a new one, 2000 milliamps versus the 1000. Theoretically, if this is all working as it should, this should last double the length of the other one. So let's get this installed and see what goes on. All right, so this will lay here. Let's plug the 2 ports in. Just literally follow. Okay. So theoretically, the installation of the battery is done already. If you notice, I did not disconnect this in any form whatsoever, but let me actually put the rest of it back together. Now here's a tricky thing. When you take this apart, you'll actually notice that the triggers kind of slide into this little piece, and you have to be very careful on getting them right back in there. You can kind of test it a little bit, and that'll kind of let you know that everything's back in. So the clamshell's back in. Test your triggers, make sure they're working, everything's good. And really that's as easy it is to get the battery changed out. So I will put the 4 screws back together. You want to just double check your buttons are working as they should, joysticks, triggers. Like I said, double check that they are working. Sometimes if you do not seat these properly to the actual joystick, the contact points don't like to work well. So you're kind of at your own mercy of putting this back together. But that should pretty much do it, folks. Like I said, I'm gonna do a quick test out with the battery to kind of make sure it does charge. The reviews that were online for this did say that the main problem with this is that it did not hold a charge afterwards. There was some other ones that were stating that the actual battery did not last as long as the original battery, even when it was going bad. So we'll kind of play it by ear. I will report back in the comments to see how it did. I will simply put the 4 screws back in and we're done. So the whole battery change should take you less than 5 minutes. These batteries dying out from the original owners is pretty common. So if you can't find it, and if this particular seller, if this item is not the best item, you can find other batteries that are more reputable. It is pretty hard to find a Sony battery these days to kind of have exactly what you want from them. So definitely do some shopping, check out the reviews and see what you're looking at. Anyways, thanks for listening, folks.